At 4:30, a new study has found nearly 2/3 of Americans vaccinated for COVID-19 are banning unvaccinated family members from their holiday gatherings this year. A survey done by OnePoll found 63% don't feel comfortable inviting unvaccinated relatives to their parties. 2 in 3 people felt they were not welcome home for the holidays without being vaccinated, and half of the unvaccinated respondents have stopped communicating with family members who don't understand why they refuse the shot. Here to talk more about this, Alex Parkhouse, who is an assistant professor of sociology at Quinnipiac University. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So obviously, this has become a very divisive topic for families as we get closer to Thanksgiving and to Christmas. We've all been taught you don't talk about religion, you don't talk about politics. Is this the new third thing we're not supposed to talk about?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It is sort of a hot button item here this holiday season. And, I think one of the things that we're dealing with here or having to confront is something relatively new, right? This is going to be a holiday season where there are a number of people who have had access to the vaccine that we didn't really see in the Thanksgiving prior. And so this is something that's going to really sort of challenge what we know and how we interact at the holidays. So certainly it can be a hot button item here.
Do you think it would be a good idea for families to talk to one another prior to these big gatherings about maybe setting up some guidelines or rules of things to talk about, things not to talk about? Would that help the situation at all?
Yeah, I think, that can be helpful. For us in general, I think we like to hang around people that are like-minded. Our friends and our family, we tend to surround ourselves with people who we're comfortable with. And in this regard, here we go into the holidays, and maybe we're going to be in a situation where we're sitting next to family members who don't share the same view, right? So we're taking ourselves out of our comfort zones, and then we're in a sort of a confined space. We're sitting around a dinner table, we're in a living room. And so what people are going to do in terms of their reactions is going to vary depending upon sort of their take on whether it be the vaccine or their position on the pandemic overall.
And what do you do as you're on your third helping of mashed potatoes or stuffing and you're really enjoying it, and then, Aunt Lou and Uncle Jim all of a sudden bring up something you don't want to talk about? What's the best way to handle that?
Right. I think there's probably a number of things we can do, especially if you can't escape the room, right? Maybe that's number one, is try to get the heck out of there. But if we're not so fortunate to be able to do that, is to maybe have a game plan before we actually sit down to that dinner, right? So in that sense, maybe we can chat with our own family members before we go over to whoever place it is that you're visiting. And think about how we are going to manage our own emotions, recognizing that maybe there's going to be viewpoints that aren't like ours. So how do we confront that? And so maybe we try to change the subject. Maybe we switch to a different topic. Maybe we come to the conversation with information ahead of time so that we are comfortable with our own sort of take on the conversation. But also recognizing how we're going to cope with the stress in the first place. If the holidays are already a sense of stress, what are we going to do for ourselves if that situation comes up? And again, that might vary. Some people might be able to walk out of the room, switch the topic. It really varies.
Well, for many families, the holidays are already an interesting time. I think this is just going to add to it, but you have given a lot of good tips and advice for a successful Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday season. Professor Alex Parkhouse with Quinnipiac University, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Great. Thank you so much.